for that beautiful introduction and for the honor that Keshet is bestowing tonight on the founding members of the Keshet family, Parent and Family Connection. We accept it with full hearts, grateful that for what Keshet has done already to make the world a safer and more welcoming place for our children, and indeed for all children, and with humility and renewed determination to continue that work in partnership with you. As an oral historian, I tend to see historical transformation most clearly through a personal lens. So let me begin with a bit of my own story, hardly unique, but a window into one parent's experience. Some 12 years ago, my 18-year-old daughter, home from college on break, stood at the foot of our bed one wintry evening, much like this one, and said, "I have something to tell you. I'm a lesbian." "Well, gotta go, bye." She must have been terrified. I know I was. Over the ensuing years, I've replayed that moment again and again, and also the conversation, tender but halting, that we had a few minutes later when I followed her downstairs into a darkened family room and began to ask her about what being a lesbian meant to her and how it was shaping her life. And for the first time, she began to describe her feelings and experiences as a young woman struggling with the issue of who she was. In trying to recapture that moment today, the central truth I know is that my love for her was unwavering and unconditional. I never wanted to change her or try to make her into someone else. But in those first days and weeks, I was buffeted by emotion. First and foremost, I felt profoundly sad that she had endured months, perhaps years, of pain and struggle, feeling alone, scared, and uncertain. As her mother, I was also afraid of losing the person that I thought I knew so well, and with that, the certainty of our mother-daughter bond, afraid of relinquishing the dream of what our lives would look like as we moved into the future, and afraid for her safety and well-being in an imperfect world. I also felt profoundly ignorant. As she described her first forays into gay bars and the LGBT scene at her university, I knew she was describing a world that I knew virtually nothing about and couldn't follow her into. And I felt lonely and alone. At the time, my husband and I didn't know anyone else whose child had come out. And despite the support that was surrounding us as we began to tell our family and friends, it was a lonely business. One of those situations where it feels easy to talk the talk, but not quite so easy when it's you having to walk the walk. What can I say? It gets better. Indeed, it got much, much better. And today, I couldn't be prouder than to stand here as the parent of a wonderful and inspiring young woman who is a historian, a voracious reader, a thoughtful critic, an accomplished cook, a runner of marathons next week, a world traveler, and a fighter for equal rights, and who is also a lesbian, and the wife of a smart, funny, and incredibly accomplished young woman whom she met in college just a few weeks after we had that initial conversation sitting in the dark. All this didn't happen in a day or even a year. And more to the point, it didn't happen alone. It happened through talking with and learning from other parents, as well as other young people who traveled the path that Rachel was now traveling. And that growth was immeasurably enhanced when I met Edith Klein and became involved with Keshet, and later with the women who became the planning group for the Keshet Parent and Family Connection, Judy, Nancy, Sabina, Melinda, Anne, and through the miracle of modern telecommunications, Debbie. Finding each other at that point in our lives and sharing our stories over and over again in the early months of our work together provided a sense of comfort and comradeship. We got it. We understood. We found inspiration in each other's experiences and courage to act in our own lives and in the larger community. We told Idit, believe us, there is no group of people who will care more or be fiercer allies in Keshet's work than the parents of young gay and lesbian people. From our first meeting, the notion of parents supporting other parents was central to our vision. We wanted to create a safe space where parents who were grappling with feelings and fears around their children's identities could come for support and resources, and most importantly, perhaps, to know that they were not alone. We wanted to continue to learn ourselves and create learning opportunities for others, from the study of Jewish texts dealing with homosexuality, to gaining competence in the language of the gay rights movement, to understanding key issues in creating Jewish community and a larger society that would feel safe, welcoming, and fully inclusive. And we wanted to raise awareness and educate others, both parents of queer or questioning children, and those who had no reason, at least as far as they knew at that time, to be even thinking deeply about such issues in our schools, our synagogues, our community centers, and our community at large. Tonight, we're celebrating those beginnings. Over the past couple of years, we've worked with Keshet staff to implement a parent peer mentoring program, to begin building community among parents and family members through small group events, film screenings, and one-to-one meetings, and to raise awareness and create educational opportunities for the larger Jewish community. And since last fall, the Keshet Parent and Family Connection has expanded from the Boston area to encompass initiatives in 4 other communities across America. And we are just beginning. This evening, we want to say a special thank you to a young person without whose efforts the Keshet Parent and Family Connection would not exist as it does today. Asher Bruskin, don't know where you are out there. Keshet community organizer, was assigned to work with this small band of Jewish mothers, all of us experienced women at least old enough to be his parent. Yet we all learned immeasurably from Asher. He tutored us in the basics of community organizing, patiently supported our struggles to understand core concepts of queer identity, helped us hone our personal stories, and tolerated with grace and humor our sometimes inept attempts to use his preferred gender pronouns. And he told us how much he was learning from us as well. We hope you know, Asher, that you have a fiercely dedicated group of Jewish mothers who will always be on your side. In thinking about the meaning of tonight's events, Melinda Strauss reminded me of a well-loved poem by Khalil Gibran, which many of us older parents imbibed in our youth before we had any personal experience of parenting. Your children are not your children, the poet forewarned us. And though they are with you, yet they belong not to you. We are the bows, he told us, from which our children as living arrows are sent forth. Those of us who've grappled with the challenges of bringing up children whose sexual orientations and gender identities have landed them on what might seem like shores distant from our own, places where it has been hard for us to follow, not to mention lead, know better now the wisdom in these words. We only need to listen closely to know that we have as much to learn from our children's experiences and perspectives as they do from ours. The quotes that you find on the table tents in front of you this evening gathered over the past few weeks from our own children and other young LGBT adults are worth pondering and provide ample evidence of this truth. At the Keshet Parent and Family Connection, we're well aware that we're only at the beginning of what we hope will become a long and vibrant course of action and conversation across generations and across boundaries of all kinds. The end of a first chapter in a book of many chapters. And we know that we're not alone. So I'd like to ask all the honorees who are still here standing with me, as well as anybody else here this evening, who is the parent of a child who identifies as lesbian or gay or bisexual or transgender or queer or questioning, to please stand. On behalf of all of us, let me say that we are grateful to Keshet for sharing in the vision for the Keshet Parent and Family Connection and for enabling us to begin. And to everyone here this evening, most especially to all our children. As parents, we want nothing less than for them to be able to experience the world as a place where each of us, regardless of sexual orientation, race, religion, or any other identity, feels safe, welcomed, and valued. A world where we all share the same rights and privileges under the law. As we begin the next chapter, we say together, Chazak, Chazak, v'nitchazek. May we be strong, strong and of good courage, and through our connections with each other, may we all be strengthened for the work yet to come. Thank you very much.